In my last video, I said that Trump looked rattled. I think I need to upgrade that to he may be losing his marbles. Because if you track what he's been doing, instead of campaigning, he seems to be hell-bent on posting insanities on his very ironically named Truth Social, the biggest one of which would be that according to him, Kamala Harris is using artificial intelligence to doctor pictures and videos to make it seem like she has much bigger crowds than she's getting. This is, Trump's total obsession with crowd size. And of course that isn't true, and the Harris campaign is very smartly tracking his posts and then reposting them themselves, saying, no, Donald, that isn't true. The crowds are real, and why don't you get out and campaign instead of doing your usual lazy act? But there's more. There's also another post in there that apparently he is directing his handlers to cover empty seats in arenas or venues that he might be doing rallies in with black cloths so that it won't appear like the seats are empty, which of course to me is such an obvious thing to do, such an obvious tell that even if it weren't out like this, if it weren't revealed, would generate suspicion. But this is Trump for you, the constant, the faker, the liar who accuses other people of doing that. As has been said about him, everything with Trump is either projection or confession, right? Now, in the meantime, there's a September 10th debate, and he is now saying also on his pseudo Twitter platform that no, actually there are 3 debates. There's one on Fox before September 10th, and then there's another one after September 10th, which of course Kamala Harris has not agreed to. And you see, here's the problem. Trump is obviously the dominant male prototype. That's what he thrives on. That's what he always does. In astrology, this is when Pluto and Mars are really overloaded, which they are in his chart because they're rising in Leo. And in fact, in his parlance, if you think back to prior years, it's a word that he loves, dominate this, dominate that. And he's attempting to dominate her, so to speak, by saying this is what we're going to do. Of course, she hasn't agreed to it. His problem is that she is a Libra with Venus conjunct Pluto, Venus being the ruler of Libra. And the fact that she is an ex-prosecutor and she is a woman that has risen to this higher level in the political sphere should probably suggest to you that she herself is a dominant personality. And the last thing she's going to do is agree to anything he says, this being one of those things. I would say it's nearly impossible that a debate is held before September 10th. And I would guess that she's going to basically state her terms, and that's how it's going to happen. So good luck with that as well, right? Furthermore, he is publishing all kinds of polls that show him winning when we know now from real polling, especially from people like Nate Silver, the Cook Report, that the race has turned the other way, which is probably why he's losing his marbles. But he tells his people that he's winning everywhere. Of course, we know this sets up a problem for later. When they lose, then they'll say, well, there had to be cheating, since the polls were indicating that we should win. But we'll have to deal with that later. Main point now is that next stop here is the Democratic Convention. Now, there's a room for a bit of caution here because Kamala does have pressures between now and then through the Saturn, Mars, Jupiter triad in the sky, because they're putting pressure on her Virgo planets. The Uranus, Venus, Pluto conjunction that she has is getting pressure. Now, this is normal. When a person is running for office, they will face these pressures. Not unusual. Of course, you need the really helpful aspects to win, literally. She has that, the Jupiter on the ascendant, Jupiter going through her ascendant sign is, let's say, is what trumps everything, no pun intended, right? But nevertheless, there are other pressures. Barack Obama, for example, was in a very similar situation in '08 when Jupiter, in his case, approaching the ascendant then was enough to signal the win, but he had to travel through some really difficult times because of Pluto-Saturn in his own cycles during the election period, but he made it through. And so this is where Kamala is as well. However, she does have to go through these pressures, and the way she deals with this between now and the convention, or also you could say the things that happen between now and the convention, will tell me a lot about her prospects. My suspicion is she'll get there quite well, reach the convention, and take advantage of that convention, and then be on her way to the November victory.